Hello? Now we're on. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome, Earthlings. I'm Angel Melanson, digital editor at Fangoria.com. I have a slight fear of director's chairs, but we're up here and we're going to stay put. So, how'd you guys like Ash? How was it? Yes. All right. I have the supreme honor of introducing Ash director, composer, and actor Flying Lotus. And stars Aaron Paul and Eiza Gonzalez.
Hello.
That was hard. Hi, guys. Yeah. Hi.
What's up?
I like that you were doing stunts up there, and now you're already doing stunts as you walk in here. Did
you see that in heels?
Impressive.
Hi, everyone. How's it going? Wow. Are we falling asleep? What's happening? So you enjoy the movie, right?
Right. So we love to see a strong female lead, and this absolutely supplies that. So congratulations.
Yeah.
Also, this movie has premiered to
almost,
it's a nearly perfect score on Rotten Tomatoes. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
so much.
It's all these two.
No.
I mean, my God.
I'm going to say it was a beautiful team effort.
It was.
Yeah.
So this story, for me personally, it strikes kind of this primal instinct where it scared me in multiple ways, in layers, like ogre onion kind of style. So we're isolated alone on a foreign planet. Scary. You also have a potential partner, but you don't know if you can trust them, which is very scary. So the sense of self kind of plays a huge part in that. But then you rob us of that and you strip that away. So you're kind of left with just this kind of aimless floating. You don't know who you can trust. You can't even trust yourself. So I'm wondering, as a director and performers, revealing these answers to the audience bit by bit, is it appealing to kind of sort of like safely play within that space with all of these unknown variables, and you're kind of doing these reveals as we go along?
I think it's the most fun part of the process is to kind of navigate the push and pull. Who do we trust here? Like who's lying? Who knows a little bit more? Who doesn't? That part is just the most fun, and trying to figure it out and seeing that all unfold.
Yeah, I think that for an actor is just a dream when it's like a clean slate as well, and it is sort of a layered cake of emotions. And the good thing about the way that the script was sort of designed, it was sort of a puzzle. And at one point, Fly Low, Aaron and I discussed this thing that was like, any scene could kind of be shoved anywhere, and he could kind of readdress. And that's the cool thing about this movie. If you rearrange certain scenes, it's a different movie. There's not a linear necessarily storyline. And for an actor, you go to each scene sort of trying and throwing things against the wall and seeing what happens. And when a lot of the things rely on like intuition or emotional sort of, journey and search, and you're just in this internal process of just relying on emotions. And it becomes really, it's a gift as a dream as an actor, and you're not relying on dialogue, you're not relying on things that become certain times a crutch, right? We can all sort of rely on amazing dialogue. But when you're sort of left naked and you have to rely on imagination and your intuition, and you pray to God that strikes a chord with the audience, it becomes both, maybe a blessing or maybe a curse, but it's a fun challenge, I think, for any actor.
And what was so uniquely beautiful about this film, because everything was so contained, it was really just the space station and the planet. We shot it in a makeshift kind of studio, a
kitchen cabinet manufacturing warehouse.
It was a sound stage, but you could literally hear everything outside of the sound stage.
So just a warehouse.
Yeah, so it was just a warehouse, and we would have to, pause when it was raining outside, and it rained a lot, and Anyways, we were able to shoot really the script in order for the most part.
Yeah.
I think you shot the massacre at the very beginning because the entire, space station was just splattered with blood. But then after that, we just shot from beginning to end, and so I think that really helped us in a way, in a beautiful way.
Yeah.
Yeah. A thing that I was really interested in too, as far as the script, was just like trying to understand like who's doing what, how is this, and also too, like if someone is telling you who you are, like if you don't know who you are and someone's just telling, oh well, you're this kind of person, like what does that do to you? Like do you fall into that, to what you believe, what someone believes you are, or what you believe you're supposed to be? Do you just instantly fall into that, or do you kind of bounce back to your instincts and who you actually are? And I think you were playing with that a little bit too. Just
I'm not gonna lie, some days I was like, wait, what's happening?
Yeah.
Where are we? Where did we come from? Oh, is this post or pre? Is he in my head already? He's not.
We were all doing that.
Oh my God! Yeah. No, we totally
we were all
like,
doing that. We were all
wait,
like, what?
Flylo, what's
When
happening?
is this? When is this in the
When
script?
is this?
Because it was a puzzle. It really was.
It really was.
Yeah.
It really was. And it comes down to also him and the editing team. And to the point of him, and I'm not letting you speak, I'm so sorry.
No, this is the point of it. Please go.
But
Yeah, go
for
off.
the point I just want to bring up, because he was bringing the kitchen cabinet warehouse that we were filming, it just goes to show that if you want to be a filmmaker, it just takes creativity. I mean, we really were like next to a Mercedes-Benz dealership, but they're running cars every like 20 minutes, and we have to stop because sound was like, damn it. And we're all there, and it felt like a school project, and we did this project was like a very, 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 very small budget, and it takes creativity. And so for him and the editor to kind of come up with ideas, creativity, like it was just a game of creativity every day. It was like, how can we make this scene look more expensive, more interesting? There's no dialogue for the first 25 minutes. How do we keep the audience engaged? It's tricks, and it's like a teamwork of coming up with creativity, but also him trusting me with my performance and Aaron. And it was just I just want to say that because it was such an amazing experience of coming off of like probably bigger projects, this sort of, you're following a system and you're being told, oh, this is what you got to do, and you're kind of part of the system. And this was like a refreshing, fresh air. It was experimenting and having fun. It was being like a school project. And I think that just makes really authentic things, whether you love the subject or you don't. I'm sure you all can watch that movie and appreciate, wow, there's a lot of like intention and creativity and people trying their best to bring something interesting to the screen and refreshing and different.
I think at the end of it, it's like, I just really hope that people could feel the love that went into it and just how much fun we were having the whole time. It was, it was a blast.
Yeah.
It was
I don't know if I was having so much fun.
Yeah, you had it rough.
I was having like close to a brain aneurysm
Yeah,
there some days.
we didn't really see the light of day for a very long time because we would shoot, early in the morning before the sun rose.
Yeah.
And then we would wrap and the sun had already gone down, but we were on that makeshift sound stage.
On the planet, though.
On the planet, and the
alone.
planet was fucking dope.
And it was dark, too.
It was
dark.
winter
It was
in New
dark.
Zealand, and it was
Yeah.
raining every day. So we were fighting the rain and the tin foil roof, and it was
Yeah.
like it sounded like we were getting shot. It was
what
crazy.
But the thing
gonna
is, with
happen?
the crew, they were so stoked because they've been working on all these, Netflix shows and stuff, and they were really excited to experiment and do something different and try new things and play with, weird puppets and stuff.
Yeah.
Like they were just.
They're
they were-
geeking out.
Yeah, they
Everyone
were
was geeking
so
out.
excited,
It was
and also
fun.
to work with these amazing actors. It was so cool,
Yeah.
Everything
but
you always-
challenging as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Challenging.
but you guys pulled it off, and I think as like a deep-seated horror lover, and I know you are as well, I feel like that's the part of the genre that I've always loved, because I feel like horror is inherently, it's punk rock, it's DIY, and you can do bigger projects and it has a different kind of vibe, and then you come to something like this and it's like purely run on like fueled by passion and love, and everyone is just showing up and bringing their A game.
And this is exactly why Eiza and I just ran towards this project, because it really fly low. This was sent to us at the same time. I've known this incredible woman for many years. She's been a dear friend of mine, and I hit her up the moment I got the offer. I'm like, have you read this yet? And she goes, no, I haven't. And so we read it at the same time. And we just had each other's back through the whole process. I'm like, oh my God. We've been such fans of Flying Lotus forever. Everything that he stamps his name on, it's going to be uniquely his own voice.
I mean, that soundtrack. Did you guys hear that soundtrack?
How great was that soundtrack?
Unbelievable. By the way, it came out today,
unbelievable.
and I've been listening to it all day long.
It's
and
just,
I'm kind of like a snob with soundtracks, I'm not gonna lie. And I have to say, this is one of my favorites. It's so cool. It has so much
Just so
edge.
dope.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe I'm
there's
biased.
so much heart to it,
Yeah.
And,
But he's so creative, to your point.
and so we're like, we have to run towards
so
this
nice.
guy. Let's do it.
Yeah, he's a dream to work with. And as you said, it's DIY, Is that what you said? Do it yourself?
You got it.
That's
Yeah,
it.
DIY.
English
Yeah.
language barrier happening. And that's true. Like, I remember, and I think that I fell in love with filmmaking in the same way, watching crazy movies that you sort of rewatch today and you're like, well, that didn't, now looking back, I'm like, that wasn't that scary, but you sort of appreciate the passion for it. And you're right, there are very few genres that you can kind of play around and be creative and be crazy, and horror is one of them, and it was a blast. It was definitely gory.
Definitely gory and goopy, which I love. So one of the coolest, or one of my favorite things about sci-fi when we're dealing with space is the spacesuits.
Oh
So
my
can you
God.
talk a little bit about the?
We all
No,
stole
you-
those things.
But me.
Did you take it home?
I
Really?
didn't, clearly. I'm
Wait,
the
why
only
didn't you take yours home?
Because I'm the only well-behaved on this cast. They all, by the way, came
When the
back to me.
opportunity is there, you take it.
They all took
I
it.
got mine.
They
Yeah,
both
I got
have it.
mine,
I don't
baby.
have mine, you guys.
Well, you know what? You fucked up.
And I said, we were at the I fucked up. We were
No,
at
they
the
all know.
screening,
They all agree.
And I was looking at
Yeah.
Aaron, I was like, how cool would it have been if we kept one of those? And he's like, I have mine.
I have mine. And it
like,
lights
what?
up.
Yeah, and
It's
then
great.
I went to say to Flylo, did you know Aaron had his? He's like, I have mine. Why do I not
Look,
have
when
mine?
you have the opportunity to wear a
XYZ.
spacesuit, yeah, you can
God,
just,
where is
just
mine?
steal it.
No, but it was amazing. But I have to be really honest with you guys. I mean, again, it's like Flylo.
Spacesuits are the worst.
It's the
No,
worst.
it takes like 15 minutes
Yo,
to
they-
get into this.
15?
You gotta be able to still
forgot
breathe
the
in
amount
there.
of time.
Was it
It
more
actually
than
has
that?
to function
It was like
to some
35.
degree.
It took a long time.
A long time. And then he had so something very cool about when we came into this movie, and I want to say this because I love my favorite part of making movies is seeing directors geek out. It's really cool because you're like watching these directors that you've watched millions of movies of them, and then you're in that room and they're kids. And so you walk in, you see Flylo, and I remember walking into New Zealand, and his office had like sketches and paintings and art in every wall. Like wherever you look, there was like art. But he had such a clear idea of what he wanted, and because he's resourceful, he's a self-made man, and he produces his own stuff. He knows how to produce, and so he started sourcing people from all over the world. And I don't even really remember. You could probably share where you found the. Didn't they come from?
Yeah, the Chinese company.
Chinese
yeah.
company.
They were kind of recommended by Weta Workshop. Yeah.
Yeah.
They recommended
And they
this
flew in with these 3D printed.
Yeah.
They're 3D printed suits. They're I mean cheap in within the world of what it is, but the vision and like idea and artistic direction that he had really let these 3D printed amazing.
And they were a nightmare.
They were in a nightmare, and then they're over that onesie. So forget about peeing. Like,
Yeah.
there's no way you're
Yeah,
gonna
but
drink
once
water.
you own your own, you realize, you know what? You just gotta kind of figure it out. And it went from 30 minutes to, for them to put it on, and now I get mine in like 10.
2 minutes.
15.
Yeah.
It's easy.
He's like he can even pee in it. It's impressive.
I don't care. I just pee myself.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I mean, I might as well. You look cool while doing
Yeah,
it.
it's fine.
And it keeps you warm in space, right?
Yeah,
So-
nobody knows.
I don't know if it's very functional, but you'll look
Yeah.
cool in space.
So were you thinking of functionality when you're designing the suits? Like how many iterations did you go through? Or were you more of like fashion over function? 100%.
You know what? It was pretty much we figured it out.
Yeah.
I think it was just a matter of if
Trial of
it
error.
would, if it would actually, perform on set and do what it needed to do. And yeah, we got by.
But anytime Eiza and I were
Not
in the
unscathed.
suits, in truth, on the planet, anytime they said cut, we would run around the planet and take photos and videos, and I mean, we're just like
It's
little,
like Disney
little
for
kids.
adults.
Yeah, it's
I was
hilarious.
like, Eric, come take a photo of me.
Yeah.
And we felt like we were
Yeah, it was
breaking
great.
the law because we were just like so excited. I definitely got scoliosis from it, but it was great. It was amazing. I definitely
A small
can't carry
price to
anything.
pay. No.
Tiny little issue in the way.
So we have iconic suits, we have iconic hair. You both have iconic hair in this. We have cool weapons, we get some sweet futuristic medical technology. But I have to say, I feel like the bedside manner of the surgery bots is not great.
He's a funny man, isn't he?
The Metabot.
The Metabot.
I gotta
yes.
tell you, I hated that Metabot so. How much did we all hate that Metabot?
loved
That
it.
bot was rugged.
Dude, that
was rugged.
Metabot was the most ghetto Metabot. And when you shoot, it's just constantly falling apart.
Yeah, we're
and
like, damn it,
You're in the
hold it.
most intense scene, and it just would break. And I'm like, this shit is gonna look so amateur, but
And
they
it looks
made it
amazing.
look great.
They made it look great.
That
Lilo.
bot is so sick. I was surprised too. I was sweating.
Me
I
too.
was
Oh
sweating.
man, I was nervous. I really was.
We had the big extraction scene.
Yeah.
The day Aaron left for good. He was like, yeah, I'm done. Bye, everybody. It was like, oh god.
In his spacesuit.
Was
Yeah.
that a hard day for you?
It was
Yeah,
the
we
hardest
cried
day.
a
It was the
bit.
hardest day.
Yeah.
Well, I was on that table seizuring. I'm like trying to pretend like I know what's happening.
But so
Imagine
was
doing
I.
that
I'm
scene-
like-
but also imagine doing that
I'm
scene. There's
seizuring.
nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing attacking you. Nothing's touching you.
And that's
like
the thing,
something's
I
being
was-
taken out of my brain. I'm like, this is what I think I would be doing.
Yeah, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I didn't
Amen.
know if it was gonna look all right or what. We had to put faith in the
We put
VFX.
faith. We put a lot of faith in there.
Oh God, I sure hope
it
we
turned
got it.
out great.
Yeah, it looks so
I hope.
good.
I hope
was-
it worked, guys. If
I
you
think that
didn't,
should
keep
look
it
sick.
moving.
I think that should.
Good
look sick.
job, Metabot. You crushed
I have
it.
to say, I was showing Aaron. I went to Cedars-Sinai today, and have you guys seen these Metabots? They're all over the hospitals, and they walk around and they have faces and they speak to you, and then they open boxes, and it was trippy because
They were flirting.
they were flirting with,
her.
me on the
The
elevator.
Metabot, the robot,
The robot
started
hard
giving
eyes.
the hard eyes.
and then send me kisses, and I was like, we're at a hospital,
Whoa. It's
man.
it's like, are you kidding me? Even the robots are just that.
It had a little mustache,
Aggressive?
but it really made me think of
the
our Metabot.
mustache gave it away.
It made me think of our Metabot because our Metabot was like funny in the most awkward moments. I'm like, we're just
Yeah.
revealing that he's dead for 3 days. And he's like, sorry for your loss. But it works. I guess it brings levity to the movie.
Yeah,
Thanks to
those
him.
graphics were kind of savage, right? It was like cause of death, blunt force trauma, and it's doing an animation of like a hammer to the head.
Looks like old Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
Also, did they not have anesthesia? Like, I feel like the Metabots just like went in there, like went hard and deep.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I didn't think of
They
this.
soothed it
Excuse
first.
me, sir?
They soothed it first.
How did they sue? No one sued me.
With a topical
they numbed
spray,
it a
I
little
feel like
bit,
they
yeah.
just went right in for the surgery.
You gotta
They
watch
went.
it again. They soothed
They
it
did
first.
a little bit? Okay, all right. I stand corrected.
I don't know shit.
It's like I'm just trying to make a movie here. Damn it.
I don't fucking know. Just kidding.
So there's always a desire to kind of make comparisons. And of course, for sci-fi movies, I feel like fans are going to go to feeling like there's nods of DNA for Alien and The Thing. So when you're approaching something like that, how do you go about making it uniquely yours? Because I feel like this very much has your stamp on this. Like, this is a Flying Lotus movie.
You just watch them once, and then you tuck them away for a while, and that's it. But for me, I pulled from a lot of video games for this. This was for the gamers in the
Which
house.
games?
Yeah. There was a lot of video game references that I was like, because when we read the script, we started talking Silent Hill out
Yeah,
the gate. That was just
immediately.
kind of like a thing that we were like, oh yeah.
That's what we geeked over. And it was, I think, the moment that I knew was meant to be. Because
Yeah.
I picked up the FaceTime and I said, this really feels like Silent Hill. And he's like, you are the one.
Yeah, she was like, but part 2 and 4.
Yeah, and
I was
4
like, whoa,
and Room.
okay, they got real specific. in the best way, and it was just meant to be. A lot of game references, and trying to pull from different movies. There was a lot of people referenced the colors and like, oh, where did the colors come from? And I really love Suspiria, that old movie. And then there was a lot of movies from the early 2000s that when I was in school were kind of like the trippy cutting edge movies like City of Lost Children and Amelie, all those like Jean-Pierre Jeunet movies where they had strong color grades and really trippy looks, and the Terry Gilliams and all that stuff. And I was like, well, if we have this set, if we actually that's our strength. We have
Totally.
an actual environment. Let's exploit it and get the most out of it. I'm like crawling around the set trying to look at everything in every different type of way possible because this is all we had. So it was a lot of fun, but I tried not to pull from Alien every day.
Well, you're also kind of following a script, right?
Absolutely,
He didn't
yeah.
write the script. He's directing a movie, and it's really hard to reinvent the wheel about movies that are about these subject matters. It's really hard, especially when the movie's the lowest budget of all of them. So you're just trying to come up with, and I think about him in the most artistic way. You're just an artist trying to get an opportunity to make a cool movie and show what you're capable of doing artistically. And you take the opportunities that come around. And if you find a script that you see that has nice bones and that you can really sort of take off from there and do something, why not? And take a risk. And there's going to be things and there's holes sometimes in story, and it's hard, a perfect movie is really hard to make. It's really hard to nail the dialogue in the perfect way, especially, again, I repeat this. How many days did we film this movie for?
28.
We did this movie in
28
28 days for the smallest budget you could ever think of. And so once you know those things, I think you get to appreciate way more what was done, because it's like a lot of love and passion, and a lot of people, our gaffer worked tirelessly to make these beautiful shots. And as he said, our entire crew was like leaving their heart and soul on this movie with we had 4 makeup artists. It was all really rugged and scrappy, and they were running around putting blood and figuring out, and it's a complicated movie, so you have all these story things that you have to remember about where the blood was, what happened, why.
The fever chart.
The fever chart, why am I getting fevers? And this movie's meant to be rewatched because now you know the reveal, then you can kind of find some Easter eggs throughout the movie that it starts showing certain things. And so we were thinking about a lot of things very ambitiously with a very small opportunity, and we were just giving it our best, And so he really deserves it because he did an amazing job with very, very, very little. Very little.
That was beautifully said.
Yeah, it's hard,
Yeah.
It's hard to make independent movies nowadays. It
Also,
really
the thing is, you don't always need to reinvent the wheel. That's the
No.
thing. I think a lot of times people set out to do that, and that's not always necessary. What I think is necessary is putting your stamp on
Correct.
something. And you do these, it's very beautiful. You have these beautiful dreamlike sequences, and then you fuck over the audience and turn it into a nightmare like that. And then from that point, you're kind of vacillating back and forth between that. So now we don't trust anything. We don't trust their performances as their characters. We don't trust either of them. We want to. And then you're kind of, ooh, it's a dream-like, beautiful kind of state. Now it's a nightmare. So we don't trust anything that's happening.
It's better that way.
You just like to torment, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
All right.
that's the point.
Have you seen Kuso? Yeah,
My God.
he loves it.
All torment
This was
all the
tamed.
time.
As tamed as it could be.
Let's talk about the creatures a little bit, because it looks like you did a mix of digital and practical.
Yeah. I love this stuff. The puppets and the prosthetics, that's honestly part of why I got into this stuff in the first place, is to see, when I was a kid, I wanted the gizmo.
Yeah, me too.
I wanted a gizmo, but I didn't want the toy.
Yeah.
No,
You wanted the
I
real
wanted
one.
the
I wanted the
one.
real, like when you go to Toys R Us and you see that ain't Gizmo.
Yeah.
That ain't him. I wanted the real one and I knew it was a puppet, but I wanted the one that I could do all the things. That was my thing. So getting into all this stuff, it was part of the fun is building those things and coming up with a reason to build. And we had such a great crew. They've all had experience working on movies like Evil Dead and the Avatars and the Lord of the Rings and stuff. So that when it came to creating monsters and stuff, they were just like, what? We get to like peel someone's face off and, have tentacles go up someone's nose and then ear holes and,
We have I have amazing footage of that little creature that kind of goes into our ears.
We call it the weasel.
The weasel, there's like, bring the weasel. And so the weasel wasn't a wire, and sometimes they would just flop it on like around us. And so everyone's like had a weasel like flopping on our faces.
Yeah.
And then we hide the weasel sometimes and put it on people's, like, our crew. And then I have other amazing photos of the flappy face of Brian.
Yeah.
But it was this amazing dancer. He did some stuff, but there was this amazing dancer that was behind it. He was so tired, so he'd be like eating a burger with a floppy face.
Yeah,
just
he did all that
with
stuff.
Aaron's face,
with
just flopping.
I would have people ask me, they're like, "Hey, did you get to keep the floppy face?" I'm like, why the hell would I want to keep that floppy ass?
Put it in
ugly
your living
face?
room. What do you mean?
Yeah,
You burn that motherfucker.
No, burn that, bury it.
Gone.
Yeah.
But it's cool to do practical stuff because it makes great stories to remember when you're done too.
Oh yeah, when we did the nose gag, that was a puppet and a prosthetic, and we filmed that for real. We ran that puppet through this weird fake
nose,
nostril,
yeah.
and people on set were like, ugh. And I was like,
Yeah.
It's exactly what I do this for.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
We do see the creatures, the weasel, if you will, Mr. Weasel.
The weasel.
Crawls in through the mouth, the nose, the ears, and even through the new hole in your head. So I'm wondering, what would each of you vote would be the worst orifice for the creature to use as an entry and an exit point?
A butthole. Can you imagine it goes up your butthole? Can you imagine?
Because you're like, where does it go from here?
She just did Hot
Yeah.
Ones today, and she's
Yeah,
talking
and
this
she
way.
crushed it.
I think it's because
yeah.
it feels like
I
a weasel
cannot
went
wait
through my
for you to
That's
see
what I
butthole
it.
mean, like, there's some
after eating those
connection
hot
there.
wings.
I mean, I think, I don't know, through the eye.
No, oh,
Just
that's
like right
gross.
here would be so bad. The butthole.
The butt, it has tentacle. It has,
Look,
like,
let me
spikes.
tell you, I wouldn't enjoy the butthole. But I'm
You
just
said you
saying, No,
You
I
would.
would not.
Oh, okay, just clarifying.
I'm not saying the butthole's a great option.
She said the worst. Why are you saying the best option? No one said the best option.
No, she.
Aaron,
I love
we
that
need to
this
talk
movie
about
can
something.
inspire
The
this
worst.
conversation.
Yeah.
I love
I'm not
it.
king
You know,
shaming
we'll
you,
talk
but I was
about this
asking the
later.
worst.
What are you talking about, Aaron? Hold up. I stay with the butthole.
Staying with the butt. We're staying
think
butthole.
the
Final
butthole's-
answer.
Yeah.
I definitely think the
butthole's
butthole's
bad.
terrifying.
Yeah.
That is my biggest fear. I don't know if you guys have watched Naked and Afraid, but I watch it religiously, and I always think, wow, they're naked and unafraid of anything going up their asshole.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine you're laying in the cold and,
and something sneaks up
sneaks
there.
up in it? I'm like,
Yeah.
could never do that show.
I don't want anything
Biggest
to
fear.
sneak
Up your
sneak
butthole.
up anywhere.
No.
Yeah.
Ear hole.
Pee hole,
Yeah,
Ear
pee
hole
hole.
would be.
male pee hole.
Yeah. I had an
Tiny.
earwig.
You can say that.
actually
Male
go
pee hole.
into my. Oh, you know what? That would fucking. Suck.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
That was
would
terrible.
be the worst.
Yeah,
Kind
of
of a
course.
Are you kidding me? Of course, that would be the worst.
She can say it.
Yeah, for you guys.
You can say that.
Can't relate.
I failed high school biology, but I think it was male pee
Yeah.
hole was the anatomically correct term for that.
Male
right?
pee
Male
hole.
pee hole.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pee pee.
I agree.
Male pee pee.
Oh my god.
Urethra. She corrected me. The male urethra pee pee hole.
Okay. For each of you personally, what would be the scariest thing to encounter on another planet? Is it isolation? Is it a hostile entity? What's the scariest thing you can think of?
God.
The food. The space
Yeah,
food.
the space food.
Yeah,
Scary.
that's a good
Forever.
answer.
I
Forever?
agree.
Are you talking about like freeze-dried astronaut food? Or are you
Yeah,
talking
that's what
about
I'm
Yeah,
whatever
that shit is
on the
gross.
planet?
Bad
I
stuff. You know what it is. We don't want it.
I think a monster.
No.
A monster would be terrifying.
Kill that motherfucker.
No. Are you
A
kidding
butthole
me? There's
monster.
a monster coming after
Burn
you.
it.
A monster
Yeah.
that goes up your butthole.
Yeah, a monster that goes up your butthole would be
Guys, sorry,
terrifying.
we are 5 years old.
Yeah.
Pardon me, this is a serious interview. I
Yeah.
apologize.
And then
This
it
is the
says
last
you
one, I
got
think, too.
weaseled
That's-
after
that's
it goes
why-
up the butthole. Yeah.
Yeah. It just goes.
Butthole
Only in
weasel.
America.
You know, let's extend this conversation.
And then it says, "Be sure to tune in to Hot Ones."
I'm crying.
How are you feeling, by the way? She just did Hot Ones.
I feel like the weasel just
Yeah.
was around that area.
Yeah.
Guys,
Oh God.
sorry.
Do we have time for one more? Okay.
Sure.
Should we? I don't know.
What was the other butthole question that I had on here? It's long.
Pardon me, guys. You paid money.
And I'm
for
sorry,
these
everybody
questions.
that's watching elsewhere. We apologize.
We apologize.
But thanks for watching the movie. Tell your friends.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
This is very much a cosmic horror. It's a psychological horror, but you also throw in a little environmental horror in there. Is that something that was particularly important to you all? Was it just kind of, it was in the script and it's there, or were you like, no, we're kind of hanging on this?
I read that in the script. There were those things in the script, but I really took to it, and I was really into figuring out, like, why is this happening?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why does the alien want her? Why is this happening now? Why didn't it happen when they first arrived? All that stuff really, I was questioning that the whole time. I was developing with the writer, and we didn't want to spell it out, but it's in there. You know why. But I think, sometimes, I side with the alien, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You said you know why, and I felt instantly guilty. I'm like, oh, fuck.
You're like, do I know why?
No, you know why.
Do I?
No, but it is very much of like humans get your shit together.
Come on.
Totally. I think that's also something so intriguing about the experience of the humans going through dire conditions. I think that always adds a layer to a paranoia, a feeling like you're not that powerful, that there's things that have way more control than you. And I think that that's something that is like a line. It's, the writer wrote it for a reason. I think it's a through line. Yeah, through line. It's a through line in the movie is things that are out of your control, you having zero control over yourself, your environment, your body, your mind, what you're seeing, what you're not seeing, and it's a play on that. And I think it's in a very twisted, dark way, an analysis of just reminding us as humans we have so little control over certain things, and we think we have so much control over everything. And the most important thing that we hold on to is our memories. Our memories defines who we are, what has made you as a child, what the little memories of growing from 0 to 10 to 10 to 20. But once that's wiped from your system, you now have no control. You're manageable, you're malleable, you're just an entity, you're just a vehicle. And I think that it is I found it that way. That's how I sort of connected with Ria, is like a very profound, deep analysis of how dangerous also the human being can be when wiped of anything. And we see it across the world with mental illnesses and stuff like that. Like, once you have no control over your mind and your control of your memories, you're just a dangerous entity. And maybe that's why they want her. And so I thought, wow, what an amazing thing to sort of remind us that we're so fragile and we're so manipulative in a certain way, and manageable. And so, I don't know, I thought I saw the movie like that. I personally connected with the movie in a very deep way that felt like you could think about that when you left the movie, or not, or just enjoy the weasel, and the flappy face. But there is something about losing complete control, and going back to that environment is, we've seen it here in LA, we've seen it around the world. Once we lose control over the environment, we're nothing. We're this little thing that we have no control of anything. And so it's a deep appreciation. I saw it as a deep appreciation of what we have now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know how to follow that up, but that was amazing. I think really the lesson is we just gotta protect this planet.
Yeah.
Right. Protect each other, lift each other up, and march forward together, because we're all in this together. So that's all I got.
Yeah, that's pretty strong though. I'll take it.
That is a beautiful note to end on. Thank you all so much. Everybody, Ash in theaters this Friday. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors. Get loud on social media if you guys want
Please
to support
help us.
indie horror. This is how you do it. You got to get loud about this stuff so we get more of it and more butthole weasels in the sequel.
guys,
right?
sequel. If you want
Hell
it,
yeah.
it's right there for
Thank
you
you
to
guys
do
so
it.
much.
It's under your
Let's
control.
Thank
you,
you,
guys.
everybody. It means a lot.
You guys are the best. Thank
everybody.
you. Thank you.